everyone, and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless unfolds like a storm that has been building for days, with every family in Genoa City feeling the pressure of choices, secrets, and emotional fallout. By the time the day is over, relationships will be tested, old wounds will be reopened, and several people will be forced to face painful truths they have been avoiding. At the center of the emotional chaos is Mariah Copeland, whose life has completely unraveled after her disturbing actions and mental collapse. As she prepares to leave for psychiatric treatment, the reality of everything she has done and everything she stands to lose hits harder than ever. The walls are closing in, not in the form of a prison sentence, but in a far more personal and devastating way. Mariah is being sent away to get help, and while that may save her in the long run, it also means she must say goodbye to the life she knows, perhaps for longer than she is ready to accept. For Tessa Porter, the day is one of the hardest she has faced in a very long time. She is caught in the painful space between love and fear, hope and self-protection. Part of her still sees the woman she married when she looks at Mariah, the woman who made her laugh, who stood beside her through heartbreak and uncertainty, who helped build a family and a future. But another part of Tessa can't stop replaying the terrifying reality of what happened. Mariah crossed a line no one ever imagined she could cross, and even though mental illness may explain her actions, it doesn't erase the damage. As Mariah's departure approaches, Tessa is forced to make one final decision before it's too late. Should Mariah be allowed to see little Arya before she leaves? It's not a simple choice, and for Tessa, it feels impossible. On one hand, she worries that letting Mariah see Arya could stir up more confusion and emotional instability. Mariah is fragile, vulnerable, and not in a place where anything is predictable. Tessa fears what that interaction might do, not just to Mariah, but to Arya as well. Even if Arya is too young to understand what is happening, Tessa knows children can feel tension, sadness, and fear in ways adults often underestimate. But then there's the other side of her heart, the side that still believes in healing, in redemption, in family. That side of Tessa wonders whether seeing Arya might actually help Mariah. Maybe one final moment with her daughter before treatment could remind Mariah of what she is fighting for. Maybe it could give her strength. Maybe it could anchor her in reality when everything else feels broken. Tessa's internal struggle is heartbreaking because she isn't just making a decision as a mother. She's making it as a wife who still hasn't fully given up. Deep down, she wants to believe that this isn't the end for them. She wants to believe that with treatment, honesty, and time, their marriage can survive this. She wants to believe the family they created isn't gone forever. That hope, however fragile, may be the very thing that guides her choice. When Tessa finally confronts the question of whether Mariah should have one last visit with Arya, the weight of that decision nearly crushes her. It's not about right or wrong anymore. It's about whether she can risk one emotional moment in the name of love and healing. If she says yes, she opens the door to pain but also possibility. If she says no, she may protect Arya in the short term, but she could also leave Mariah with a goodbye she never gets to have. Meanwhile, Mariah herself is caught in a haze of remorse, fear, and emotional exhaustion. For perhaps the first time since this nightmare began, she fully understands what she has done and how deeply she has hurt the people she loves most. The shame is overwhelming. She doesn't just fear being sent away, she fears that the people she loves will never truly let her come back. More than anything, Mariah wants one chance to see Arya. She wants to look into her daughter's face and hold on to the memory during the long, difficult road ahead. That little girl represents everything good in her life, everything worth surviving for. Whether or not she deserves that moment is another question entirely, and Mariah knows it. She knows she is in no position to demand forgiveness or closeness. She can only hope that Tessa sees enough of the woman she used to be to grant her one final act of grace. As Tessa wrestles with her decision, another family in Genoa City is facing their own emotional nightmare. Devon Winters and Abby Winters are hit with devastating new information that leaves them shaken and furious. Just when they thought the worst of Dominic's ordeal might be behind them, they learn that the emotional damage may run far deeper than anyone initially believed. Dominic's kidnapping was traumatic on every level, and although he's safe now, the psychological aftermath is becoming impossible to ignore. The alarming update likely comes through Dominic's therapist, who has been monitoring the child's behavior and emotional state closely. What Devon and Abby hear is not what they wanted or expected. Signs are emerging that Dominic may have been more affected by the abduction than anyone realized. Perhaps he's showing increased anxiety, separation issues, emotional withdrawal, or behavior that points to deeper trauma. For Abby, the news is especially devastating because Dominic has already endured far more than any child should. She desperately wants to believe that love, safety, and routine can help him bounce back. But hearing that he may be carrying invisible scars is enough to send her into a spiral of guilt and fear. She wonders whether she missed signs earlier. She wonders whether she should have protected him better. She wonders whether the emotional consequences of this ordeal will follow him for years. Devon is equally rattled, but his reaction is fueled by anger as much as grief. As Dominic's father, he is furious that his son is still suffering long after the physical danger has passed. Every new revelation feels like another violation. It's one thing to know something terrible happened. It's another to realize that the effects are still unfolding and that Dominic may continue to pay the price for someone else's breakdown. Just as Abby and Devon are trying to process that painful information, they are blindsided by a second bombshell, one that leaves them seething. They learn that Mariah will not be going to prison for kidnapping Dominic. Instead of jail time, Mariah is receiving probation and a stay in a psychiatric facility. Legally, the explanation may make sense. Her mental condition, instability, and need for treatment have apparently shifted the outcome away from punishment and toward rehabilitation. But to Abby and Devon, that feels like a slap in the face. From their perspective, Dominic was taken, traumatized, and placed in danger. Their family was thrown into fear and chaos, and now the woman responsible is avoiding what they see as true consequences. Abby struggles to hide her outrage. She cannot understand how someone can commit such a terrifying act and walk away without facing the full weight of the law. To her, the sentence feels too light, too soft, too disconnected from the trauma their family has endured. She may understand that Mariah needs help, but understanding does not equal forgiveness. Devon's anger runs even hotter. He is likely to argue that mental illness cannot become a blanket excuse for actions this severe. While he may not want Mariah destroyed, he certainly doesn't believe she should simply be treated and then allowed to move on as if this was some unfortunate misunderstanding. To him, probation sounds like mercy Mariah hasn't earned. This difference between what the law has decided and what the victims feel they deserve creates a raw emotional fracture. Abby and Devon are left trying to protect Dominic while also swallowing a justice outcome that feels deeply unsatisfying. Their trust in the system, and perhaps even in the people around them, takes a hit. At the same time, their anger toward Mariah may reopen tensions with others who see the situation more compassionately. Some may argue that prison would not heal anyone and that psychiatric care is the more responsible path. But for Abby and Devon, those arguments are difficult to hear when they are the ones trying to comfort a child who may still be carrying trauma. As one family falls deeper into emotional pain, another couple finds themselves divided over the escalating war between two of Genoa City's most powerful men. Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott are poised to clash over the growing hostility between Victor Newman and Jack Abbott. While they may care deeply about each other, their loyalties and interpretations of recent events are pulling them in opposite directions. And as always in Genoa City, family conflict has a way of infecting romance. Claire's position is complicated. She does not support what Victor did to Jack, and she certainly isn't blind to her grandfather's ruthless behavior. She knows Victor has crossed serious lines and manipulated situations to suit his own agenda. There is no easy way to defend what happened. Yet, at the same time, Claire may not fully accept the idea that Victor is responsible for every piece of destruction that followed. From Claire's point of view, Victor may have set certain events in motion, but that doesn't mean he alone caused Jack and Diane's marriage to implode. She may believe that relationships are more fragile and more complex than that. If Jack and Diane's bond was truly solid, could one twisted setup really destroy it so completely? Claire may feel that while Victor was undeniably wrong, blaming him for absolutely everything is too simplistic. Kyle, however, is not in the mood for nuance. He sees Victor as the architect of the entire disaster, and he is not about to soften that opinion. In Kyle's eyes, Victor deliberately drugged Jack and orchestrated a humiliating, dangerous situation involving Patty Williams on that yacht in Lake Michigan. That wasn't a misunderstanding or a minor interference. It was a calculated attack. And if Jack and Diane's relationship is now in ruins because of what followed, Kyle sees Victor as directly responsible. Kyle's outrage isn't just about the facts of what happened, it's personal. Jack is his father, and seeing him manipulated, humiliated, and emotionally wrecked has lit a fire in Kyle that may be hard to extinguish. He's tired of Victor acting as though he can play with people's lives and then walk away untouched. To Kyle, enough is enough. This puts Claire in an impossible position. She may care deeply for Kyle and sympathize with his anger, but she also doesn't want to feed an endless cycle of revenge. She has seen firsthand what the Newman way of war can do to people. She knows Victor can be destructive, but she also knows retaliation rarely ends cleanly. If Jack goes after Victor with the same intensity, the collateral damage could be enormous. Claire may try to be the voice of reason, urging Kyle to think beyond rage and retribution. She might argue that escalating this feud will only create more pain, more fallout, and more broken relationships. Peace may feel impossible, but she could still believe it's worth striving for. Kyle, on the other hand, may see Claire's desire for peace as naive, or worse, as a sign that she still can't fully break from a Newman loyalty. That's where things become dangerous for them as a couple. This isn't just about Jack and Victor anymore. It's about whether Claire and Kyle can stand on the same side when it truly matters. As they speak their minds, the conversation is likely to become tense and emotionally revealing. Claire may insist that not every battle has to be fought to the bitter end. Kyle may counter that some people only stop when they are forced to. Claire may urge compassion and restraint. Kyle may demand accountability and payback. Neither of them is entirely wrong, which is what makes the conflict so compelling. Claire is trying to imagine a future where old family wars don't keep poisoning the next generation. Kyle is trying to protect the people he loves from a man he believes will never stop causing harm unless someone finally stands up to him. Both are speaking from emotion, from loyalty, and from fear. But emotional truth does not guarantee compatibility. If Claire and Kyle can't find common ground on Victor and Jack, it could expose deeper cracks in their relationship. Their disagreement may force them to ask difficult questions. Can a Newman and an Abbott ever truly build something peaceful together? Can love survive when family loyalty pulls in opposite directions? And if a bigger war is coming, which side will they each stand on when neutrality is no longer an option? Across Genoa City, the emotional themes of the day all point to the same painful truth. Love does not erase damage, and good intentions do not undo consequences. Tessa loves Mariah, but love alone may not be enough to restore trust. Mariah may be sorry, but remorse alone cannot erase what Dominic endured. Abby and Devon may want justice, but justice does not always arrive in the form people expect. Claire and Kyle may care for each other deeply, but caring is not the same as agreeing on what comes next. Everyone is facing some version of the same impossible question. Once something precious has been broken, what does it really take to repair it? For Mariah, the answer may begin with accepting help and surrendering control. She cannot talk her way out of this. She cannot rely on love alone. She has to do the brutal internal work of confronting what happened inside her mind and why she became capable of something so terrifying. If she truly wants her family back, she will have to earn her way toward healing, one painful step at a time. For Tessa, the answer may involve deciding whether hope is worth the risk. She must choose whether to hold the line and protect herself and Arya at all costs, or whether to leave a small crack in the door for Mariah's return someday. That choice may define not only this chapter of their marriage, but whether there is another chapter at all. For Abby and Devon, the answer may involve realizing that justice and healing are not the same thing. They may never feel satisfied by Mariah's legal outcome, but their real battle now is helping Dominic recover. Their anger is valid, but if it consumes them completely, it may take focus away from the child who needs them most. And for Claire and Kyle, the answer may depend on whether they can separate inherited family wars from the future they claim to want together. If they can't, then Victor and Jack's conflict may become the very thing that tears them apart before they ever had a real chance. Tuesday's episode is not just about shocking updates or explosive arguments. It's about emotional reckoning. It's about what happens after the worst thing has already happened, when everyone is left to sort through the wreckage and decide who they still want to be. There are no easy heroes in this story, and no simple villains either. There are only wounded people making painful choices, each one hoping they are not too late to save what still matters. By the end of the day, Tessa may make a decision that changes Mariah's goodbye forever. Abby and Devon may find themselves more determined than ever to protect Dominic, even if it means hardening their hearts. Claire and Kyle may walk away from their conversation more divided than before, with unresolved tension simmering beneath the surface. And hanging over all of it is the same haunting possibility that the emotional damage done in recent weeks is far from over. Because in Genoa City, consequences rarely arrive all at once. They unfold in layers. They settle into marriages, friendships, and family bonds. They change how people see each other. They shape the choices people make next. That is exactly where this story stands now, at the edge of the next emotional fallout. Mariah is leaving, but her absence may only intensify the pain she leaves behind. Tessa is trying to hold her family together, but she may soon realize that wanting something desperately does not mean she can force it to heal. Abby and Devon are determined to be strong for Dominic, but the new information they've received may test their resilience in ways they aren't prepared for. Claire wants peace, Kyle wants justice, and somewhere between those two ideals lies a battle that could cost them more than either one expects. Everything is shifting. Every relationship is under pressure. Every character is standing at a crossroads. And on Tuesdays, The Young and the Restless, no one gets through it unchanged.